Welcome to Jurassic Park.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I'll be back.
I'll have what she's having.
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Here's looking at you, kid.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello, I'm your host, Jim McLean. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Pixels on a Screen, a podcast brought to you by Banterflix, cinematic discussion with a Northern Irish accent. Joining me, as always, on this pod is the goose to my maverick. I think of it that way. You probably think of it the other way. You think I'm your goose to your maverick. It's Adam, what's happening, Neeson?
To be fair, I don't know what you're talking about because I've never seen Top Gun.
Have you never seen Top Gun?
I watched it. Hi. That's me saying hello, in case anybody's listening. I've watched it and...
In case your parents are listening.
In case your parents are listening.
Do you like Afro Man? Goes a good hand.
Wasn't me. That's the person. I watched about 45 minutes of it and went, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen in all my life.
Did you not get yourself drawn sexually in whenever they were having the volleyball match in the first Top Gun? And when you were high, you were sitting there going like, am I gay? No. Am I gay? And little Tom Cruise was like, are you gay?
Big Fowl was like, do you want to come on, son?
Yeah. Do you want to come and play with Iceman?
Who ironically is gay in the X-Men universe. Bringing it back. Top Gun never done it for me. And then whenever Top Gun Maverick came out and everybody's like, this is the best movie ever made, I was like, guess I'll never know.
I think the next pod, we're going to be talking about Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick.
Damn it.
Yeah, who knows how my little mind thinks. So yes, on this pod, for some bizarre reason, we're going to be talking about Cars 2. The greatest sequel in Pixar's back catalogue. We will discuss that later on. But this is the 2011 Cars 2 sequel to Cars, which was out a couple of years prior. This was the first Pixar movie beyond Toy Story. I'm nearly certain on this fact, and I haven't IMDb'd it, but this was the first Pixar movie to get a sequel that wasn't Toy Story.
Yeah.
And this was very much John Lasseter's project. You know, he conceived the idea, he directed the first one, he definitely directed the second one. Very much his baby, and John Lasseter was at the forefront, that he was Pixar.
And let's just say he was very hands-on.
Yes. Yes, that's just vague enough for the Banterflix lawyer team or top team of lawyers. But yes, there's issues with John Lasseter. And if you're kind of going, what's this about? We don't talk about it, Wikipedia, or go on and find it.
He's like the Bruno of Banterflix. We don't talk about him.
Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno. There's a lot of people we don't talk about. There's a lot of Brunos on this pod. So yes, this is Cars 2. There is Cars 3. And you were telling me, a bit like we had last week with our arachnophobia pod, you'd never seen Cars 2. You had seen the first one and the third one.
Somehow. I think I'd seen the first one because I was like, it's...
Because you were high.
I
fucking hell, mate, these cars are talking.
I was like, all this meth really needs to come down. I need some cars. I think I seen it just because, it was like a Disney staple. I was like, I'll watch it to say I've seen it. And then the third one, I think I watched in...
Because you were high.
My girlfriend's...
Your girlfriend was high.
She would never. My girlfriend's parents' house, and her stepdad loves Lightning McQueen. Mm-hmm. And there was kind of like we can't really pick anything else to watch, so let's just watch Cars 3.
You weren't like, here, what about Hellraiser?
Have you ever seen Debbie Does Dallas?
That's a good show. She's a popular girl.
Everybody knows her.
Yeah, everybody knows her and everyone wants to be in her. But anyway, yeah, so this is Cars 2. Now, the reason why I picked this movie. So, a couple of weeks ago, I was camping in Scotland with my good friend Barry. He's messaged the show a couple of times. And he's obsessed with a podcast called Kill James Bond, where they kind of look back at kind of all the problems with particularly the early Bond movies, particularly the Connery ones.
Wow.
And let's not even, I think there's more than one episode dedicated to You Only Live Twice. Rightfully so. 2 episodes, I'd like to think. But they branched out on their podcast. They did other kind of espionage kind of movies. And one that cropped up was Cars 2. And he played me the podcast when we were driving down because we went camping, as I said, and I was like, Adam and I could do this better. If we could do a deep dive into Cars 2 much better than this, with our witty banter that we bring. And also reminded me, what a weird sequel Cars 2 is. And I guess, we will come back to it and kind of talk about, because this is your first viewing, as I say. But, as always, we like to kick off with a little of, Adam's feature, because he always like, I've got this idea, I've got that idea, and you're like, well, what about my feature, Jim? It's like, what about I've had this idea, Adam, for a feature. Say, yeah, Jim, well, maybe talk about that, maybe that next week, yeah, maybe that week after. But no, I jest. So I think it's time to perfectly queue up before we get into talking about this week's movie. I think it's time for a little bit of.
I don't have the theme, so I'm just gonna sing it. Doctor, hey, doc.
Wait, we'll do it. Okay, go.
Okay. Doc.
Hey.
Doc. Doctor.
Hey.
Doc. Doctor.
Hey. Yes. So we weirdly, through the kind of Chris Nolan verse, we're both caught up right now.
Yeah.
But by the time this episode goes out,
Would you say it'd be some sort of timey-wimey?
it's timey-wimey, TARDIS-related nonsense. So, yes, we are caught up right now, but by the time this episode is released, the penultimate episode in the current series, it just seems to have flown in. I think there's less episodes this year.
Also, didn't they release the first 3?
Two.
Yeah.
First 2 were released on the same day. They did them back-to-back,
Yes.
which was a good thing because Space Babies was terrible, as we've discussed before. And then we had the Beatles one,
Which was just as good.
I thought the Beatles one, I've said it before, I thought the Beatles episode was better. And I guess where we're heading, having rewatched them all in quick succession after rewatching Rogue, and for the first time, actually, I'm not even an episode behind you. I was like, okay, I get a sense with that episode, it is leading to things, because we're now starting to get an idea of story arcs and stuff I'd forgotten about from the 60th anniversary. The One Who Remains is clearly the big bad that they're going to build up. Whether that's going to be released or will have been revealed in the episode that our listeners will have just watched, but we will be discussing, I think, on a Doctor Who special where we'll just kind of talk about the series as a whole.
Yeah.
But Rogue, the Bridgerton episode, as it's been dubbed, I don't know about you, probably, I think I messaged you after I watched it. It was like, probably my favorite episode of the series so far, because it wasn't shite. It had character development and an arc within the episode, that worked, and there was payoff and things that you feel will, we will be returned to later on. Maybe not in this series, but I think in the future.
Yeah, it was nice to see the
Doctor get a big kiss of a big fella.
I text you, I cheered when he kissed Jonathan Groff.
Who wouldn't?
Oh, he's gorgeous. They're both gorgeous men. But it was like the Doctor. Like I've said before, I'm not a big fan of the Ruby character. But he was barely with her this episode, and it really shows that away from her, the Doctor was able to shine and sort of have his own story. And
because the last couple of episodes was 73 yards, and then, apologies, I can't remember the name of the episode, the title.
Dot and Bubble.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we had Dot, because I hadn't seen Dot and Bubble. So we've had Dot and Bubble, we've had 73 yards, and then we had the Stephen Moffat episode. And in the Stephen Moffat episode, Doctor was there, but he was stationary. Then I had 73 yards, as you said, he was hardly in it. And then on Dot and Bubble, there, but not in it a lot.
No.
The episode that's about to screen, I know will be in cinemas again this week, along with the finale, is kind of, or is aims by the trailer anyway, is going to set up or reveal, I think, of sorts, the reason why this woman, who forget the name of the actor, keeps reappearing in every episode as a different person.
Yeah.
Because she pops up as a portrait in Rogue.
Yeah, and it seems to be the first time that the character of Ruby is like, hold on, I know that face.
Oh no, they have. They did it in Dot and Bubble.
Oh, did they?
There's a character pops up. Is it like a doctor, or it's not Dr. P? there's a character pops up and they're like, I know that person from somewhere. Who is that person? And they both acknowledge.
See, Dalton Ball was just had me lost because it was like,
I like the concept,
but it seemed like it was 10 years too late. It was like, isn't this like Twitter and TikTok? And you're like,
I think I read somewhere it's like a Black Mirror episode, but done with Doctor Who. It needed Charlie Brooker.
Yeah, it needed a little bit more of biting satire.
Yeah,
rather than just, it seemed to be just a build up to be like, here, did you not realize that everybody was white? And you're like I said to you last week, it's like most of the characters in Doctor Who are white. So to even be like, you never thought about that? You're like, well, why would I have? I'm sure, people of colour always think about that when watching something.
Yeah.
And Bridgerton is a good example, even though it's a TV show. I've never fully watched it, so I can't say I don't like it.
You don't watch it for the bucking?
Well, that's the reason I don't watch it, because I'm like, I don't want to get too sweaty watching this. That show, has people of colour.
That wee lesbian girl from, or shabby girl from Derrygold. Jesus, she's getting fingered. Here's this.
She's getting her peace wall split.
He's definitely crossing the divide.
Well, I was going to say something terrible. No, sure, I'll keep it in. Jesus, it's just so creamy. It's just like free dairy. Feel free to take that out.
Nope. As the previous rules, listeners, what you'll find when Jim says something terrible, potentially into kind of murky territories, once I go in the post, once I'm editing, I'll be like, nah, it's not good editing. Adam can say whatever the fuck he wants to. Yeah, as long as it comes, Adam coming off as a creep, it stays in.
I got that cheeky, chappy attitude.
You can brush it off.
I can get away with it.
Yeah, I can't. I'm just I'm cancelled.
Bridgerton has people of colour in places, in characters that wouldn't.
Yeah, I think they do blind casting.
Which is great, and they kind of do it this week on Rogue as well, because obviously they're doing the whole cosplay of Bridgerton.
I did find that a bit like on the nose, like trying to explain cosplay.
It also felt like, I don't know, I feel like this would have been a fan favourite episode if you hadn't said cosplay as well, because of the interaction between the Doctor and Rogue. But the fact that they're like, oh, it's cosplay, it feels like it's just feeding into that Comic-Con fucking thing. But yeah, Doctor Who, I don't really know what this finale's gonna, like, at least with the Bad Wolf stuff, you kind of got a hint of like, oh, this might happen, it's the Dalek, so, this might happen, and there's kind of an overall arc of the Doctor, like...
Do you have any theories? Because we were talking, I guess the big things that this series may resolve, I guess this series is heading to the resolution of Ruby's origins, or who her parents are, who she is. Whether this season will decide to reveal the one who remains. Because when I went back and watched the Beatles episode, I'd kind of forgotten that the Maestro does. So they have this idea that they're setting up kind of like an Avengers-esque level of gods. So the Toy Master was one, Maestro was one, the one who remains is the most powerful of these entities, and who that's going to be revealed. I'm hoping it's not going to be the Master. I'm actually hoping it's not I'm not the Doctor. I'm hoping it's not going to be, Daleks, or because I kind of like the fact, if I'm right here, we've had a lot of like original monsters, and I know Chris Chibnall kind of tried to do that with his first season with Jodie Whittaker, where he said like, we're just going to have original monsters in this series. Then in the Christmas special for her, like, I actually did something kind of semi-interesting with the Daleks, and then stuff happened. I'm hoping, this is the thing, we could be talking about this and there could be a massive reveal, and like the one who remains could be a whole double bluff. Could be Matt Smith.
I want to do a big guess now and say that the one who remains is the god, quote unquote, of time, and this lady that's why she's through every part of time, and maybe she's trying to reclaim the TARDIS since it got split in two. Maybe that's awoken her. But also the tease of the Master in the Christmas, the 60th anniversary, where it's like he was trapped in a golden tooth,
and then there's the hand.
Yeah,
because it was in the Tennant John Smith era.
Yes,
there was the Doctor, and then there was a reveal that the hand was his wife, wasn't it? In the end, kind of his. Cause I'm trying to remember back, and it's the end of his when he's his. Is it a ring, or am I getting that confused with Flash Gordon?
It was a ring. Gordon's alive. It was a ring that was like in the ashes of John Smith's like burnt master body.
Yeah.
I never really understood that. And was there a follow up to that?
There was. I think there's a reveal that the hand, I think, is in. Remember when he comes back?
Was it Missy?
Yeah.
I see.
No. Sorry, it wasn't Missy. No, remember when he comes back? Is it one of the specials when he's kind of not quite the master, or there's some kind of weird way? Someone messaging.
Is it the Billy episode when she's like down the bottom of a spaceship, and like John Smith has that weird fucking Igor makeup on to be like, I'm just a peasant.
I don't think so, because someone's going to message in. Please, someone message in.
The Doctor Who special is going to be class in a few
Doctor Who
weeks.
special is going to be here. Didn't that happen here? Wasn't Sylvester McCoy Doctor? I think so. Colin Baker, wasn't he Doctor? I think so. No, I'm nearly certain it's one of the Tennant specials, or I think it might be. Is it not the Davros episode, but it might be the episode where Tennant's finale. Mm-hmm. They bring back. Is it John Sim or John? What do you call the actor?
John Sim.
John Sim. They bring back John Sim, but he's not quite. They kind of. He's like a ghost or something like that.
Yes.
There's something in my head that rings, and that it's his wife from when he's John Smith. She brought the ring back. Something along that line.
The wife of when he was like Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is such a rambling episode. It's like two old lads in the pub just trying to figure out something without just going, well, I don't just Google it, mate.
And on my day, onions were on my belt because that was the fashion at the time. We will be more prepared for the Doctor Who episode.
No, will we, fuck? So, yeah, I don't know who... I don't know if I want... This is my thing I'm worried about. Because I've enjoyed this episode of Rogue, in that sense, like part of me was wondering, because there's a whole double bluff where they cosplay these... What are the characters called? What are the villains called?
The Owl people.
Yeah, the Owl people, but not like that's not Owl as in Northern Ireland.
No,
not Owl. But these kind of body shifters are kind of, what would be the term?
Yeah, like they're chameleons, but they're birds.
I'm gonna see if I can get the name of them. Is it Chitara or something?
Isn't that the aliens from the Avengers? The Chitauri?
The Shuldar? Chuld? Shuldar?
Yeah.
So in this one, we have these chameleon-like villains that are owls and kind of bird-like. I think it's the Shuldar. Someone will message in and go, I think you'll find they're actually pronounced like this. There's a silent Z in the middle there. Like, all right, sorry. But there's a whole sequence where, did you not see that coming, though? There's the one girl that Ruby befriends.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, yeah, there's going to be something. There has to be a reason why her character's there. And it's at the point where they go, oh, there would only be 4 of them, wouldn't there? There wouldn't be more than 4. And I was like, right, okay, I think what's going to happen here. I thought it might be something where they might jump back, maybe in a future episode, if there's something big about Ruby's character, where it's like how she was able to defeat them, but they kind of then solve that, where she's able to do the weird dance.
She touched her ear.
She touched her ear, she was able to get the commands, and then is it Poker Face? Like an orchestral version of Poker Face plays?
Which somebody online.
I thought I'm just, not to shout across you, but I thought this was being her best episode for acting.
100%. I think everybody like on top of their game on this episode. My favourite bits were the Doctor
kissed and he listening to Kylie.
The Kylie bit, fantastic. The Doctor being like, I parked behind a tree. Was great. And then just sort of the whole him being like, I might give this up and go on a wee adventure with Rogue. I thought that was great. The one thing I didn't like, I also really enjoyed that he was finally able to have a moment where, because he was like, right, let's move on. And she was like, no,
yeah,
you need to process this. Like, this is actually a moment.
Do you know what I feel bad saying I'm getting a bit tired at in this series?
I know what you're going to say.
The Doctor crying?
Yeah.
It's, they used it, in every episode he's cried.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I get this is going to be a more emotive Doctor, but it loses its power. Like that, coming back to Dot and Bubble, that sequence, if he hadn't have cried at all the previous episodes, and then it would be like, oh wow, the Doctor cries. That would have been really powerful. But the fact he's doing it every episode.
There's a moment in the Moffat episode where he's on like the landmine, and it's like they haven't really shown that he is crying. It just cuts back to him and his fucking face is soaking. You're like, you okay, son?
You sweaty?
you
Tense?
eating fucking some KP
You like them nuts, son?
Um,
Be careful, you're doing too many. You'll set that landmine off.
sweating by. But yeah, I love Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. I just wish, I kind of wish they would do you remember like when Sherlock was doing like hour and a half episodes?
Yeah.
It was like 3 like mini movies. I kind of wish we kind of had that as like an introductory to the Doctor rather than the short. But I suppose he was shooting Sex Education, so
Yeah.
they couldn't. So maybe next season is when we'll get big bombastic Doctor.
I don't know. I still think Space Babies is the biggest mistake for me in this. It's the weakest episode by far because it just feels like the epilogue of the Christmas special.
Yeah.
Had the episode Rogue, I was thinking about this actually, not that I'm thinking about the pod, but thinking about Doctor Who. It's like, had that been the second or third episode? It's like, let me show you an adventure. Ruby, you love Bridgerton? Okay, let's go back to that time period. I'd have been right. That would have been amazing. It just feels a bit out of place, as in the sense that you're heading towards your finale. Your finale is essentially a two-parter. So it looks like it's going to be a two-parter, particularly if you're doing them both in the cinema this weekend. I just wish that had been sooner. And I think the tear then would have had more impact.
Yeah.
Than, the fact that, oh, fuck, there he is, fucking crying again. Come on, Ncuti, fucking get the fucking Kleenex out, son.
It's also a wee bit of... It makes me a bit nervous that this week's episode was written by Kate Horn and somebody else I can't remember. But and the rest were kind of written by... Well, Moffat wrote one, but the rest were written by Russell T Davies. And the Russell T Davies one are all a wee bit... Not cake, but just aren't up there.
No, there's big idea. It's a bit like what, and I know I'm saying his name wrong, Chris Shripnell. What he teased up big ideas and didn't deliver.
Yeah.
And I think you're kind of getting that a wee bit with Davis. And looking back, because I know for the 60th anniversary with all the episodes on the iPlayer, I went back and watched some of the early ones. Some of them are great. Some of them have dated horribly. But you still see that idea of like, it goes from being serious sci-fi to campy kind of sci-fi Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, it's just Russell T Davies, like his Ninth Doctor episodes, some of the best ones are always the ones where it is a bit biting, it is a wee bit more mature. It's still a kid show, but it is just a wee bit more mature, and I think that's just what's missing from this show at the minute.
Well, I think what he's doing, I said this last week, he seems to have retconned it and said, right, this is a kids' TV show. The generation that have been, I think that's why they've redubbed this Series 1.
Yeah.
It's like, right, that last series, everything that we had before with the 60th anniversary specials, that's the culmination of that reboot. And now we're going to retool it again, and I'm going to bring older people like us, I know even older people than us, on board, and they'll be going, where's the fucking Doctor kissing fellas, and why is he fucking crying, and fuck's sake, this, that, and other. But also newer, younger viewers going, there's Space Babies, Boogeyman, that's amazing, that's great, and get them into Doctor Who.
Yeah, but even like I was a kid watching the Eccleston series, and the maturity of that was what made me love it.
Yeah.
Because there was a show on ITV at the same time called Primeval.
Yeah.
That was too kiddie for me, and I preferred Doctor
hard
Who.
lad.
I was like, I don't like dinosaurs. I liked Doctor Who because the Doctor was...
Well, Mom will watch Prime Suspect.
The Doctor was... a complicated character, and that's really what I liked about him. And the Ncuti character in this episode, you seen the complexity of him. Like, he obviously is a guy that's so old that he could have been like, you know what, fuck this Time Lord stuff. I'm gonna go actually have a bit of time away with somebody that I've fallen in love with. Whereas no, you kind of see.
As he brings this Kylie Minogue CD.
Na, na, na.
I love that.
It was so good.
Just kind of. It was what we haven't really had enough of in this series. Just the kind of Doctor with a bit of a real swagger.
Yeah.
Because he seemed like a more vulnerable Doctor at times. We haven't had like the as I said before, the kind of swagger of Eccleston, the kind of, right, you're going to look down the Dalek, well, I'm going to grin and I'm cleverer than you. The confidence of Tennant, Smith, Capaldi's just kind of battleship eyebrows.
Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker as well had that kind of Tennant kind of charm, that Eccleston idea of like the kind of the likability, whether you liked her tenure as Doctor or not. I did like her. I just didn't like the scripts. That was the kind of, that episode come back to was like the swagger I wanted from the Doctor.
I will talk about it in a special in a few weeks, but I liked Jodie's sense of wonder.
Mm-hmm.
That was always what I enjoyed about her character. No matter how bad the scripts were, her sense of wonder was always great. And it seems that, do you remember when this series was like advertised? You had like Shooty dancing in the club, like wearing a kilt. It was kind of like you wanted like that, like, oh fuck, he's free, like it's something new. Whereas
He can do what he wants.
He can do what he wants
any old day, whatever that song lyrics are.
Whereas like now, whenever he was like, Ruby, she's my best friend, I just didn't believe it. Do you know what I mean?
She's my greatest friend of all time. Friend.
Friend. Whereas like the Rose and David Tennant Doctor era, do you remember when like their first episode when they go to New York? You could tell she was kind of like falling in love with him because she had fallen in love with him, his personality, but now he had the looks. Whereas like now it's like, why are these guys friends apart from they're in a TV show together? It's weird.
Yeah, because I quite liked in that episode in Rogue, there's an episode with a quick flashback where it talks about when he's talking to Ruby's mum. It's like, you promised me you'll protect her.
Yeah,
and all that stuff. And then did someone make a reference on Twitter? It might have been you. That the pub that Ruby goes to is the same pub that Jackie, Rose's mum, goes to.
Oh, really?
In like the first, I forget what name of the pub is, but someone put it in. It's like, why is nobody making a big thing out of this? They drink at the same pub. You're like, oh, that's probably just a little throwaway reference for that fan, but who knows?
I loved Jackie.
Maybe Jackie's the one who waits.
I would have waited for Jackie.
So would I.
You're so hot.
Or maybe. I think I said it could just be Rory, still waiting there, the Roman soldier.
We'll get it in a few weeks. But
yes, we will. And we'll talk about this series as a whole. We'll be able to review it. We'll not be doing the timey-wimey stuff where we're behind. We're caught up, but we're behind. We'll do a Doctor Who special in a couple of weeks. And I think we'll also maybe talk other episodes. Will we stick to the kind of the new era, or do you want to go all the way back to the very, very start?
Well, I've never watched any of the old ones, so we're probably just best. We're probably best sticking with the old RTD era.
Okay, yeah, so I think we'll do that. We'll go back to the start from that anyway, the Christopher Eccleston era, and we'll talk a wee bit about that, but I guess we'll be talking particularly how we think this series as a whole, our hopes for the future. I think there's a Christmas special.
There is, with our favourite gal from Dairy Girls.
Yes, she is back in it. And then we'll have the second series, which has already been filmed. I think they're filming the third now.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're busy boys. But I thought, we like our listeners to get in touch with us. And last week on the most recent episode of our TV show at NVTV and other various channels across the UK and Ireland, Adam, we were talking to lovely Danny Brown, who said lovely things about our pod, saying how he was listening to it and he laughed at two lads saying that they fancied the sexy gremlin.
See, the thing is, I fancy Danny, so...
Have you told him?
He fucking knows now.
You're telling him now. Them legs, mate.
Mate, see when he was in here, he showed me his wow tattoo.
Yeah. Did you, when he got his legs out in the show, did you have a sneaky peek or hope go all out of the house?
What episode of Friends?
Yeah. That's where all my references come from. So, yes. So, Danny was in touch. So, Danny's been talking about, and I very rarely allow our podcast to get political, but he's annoyed about something. And I know the Fright Club have their own podcast now, The Dissection.
I'll be joining soon.
Yeah, I wonder if Fright Club will be talking about important issues like this.
Hello, Adam and Jim.
He's already starting very country.
He knows his audience.
He knows his audience. It's like his Marty in the room.
No, it's not Adam's big uncle Liam. It's your other...
Sound nothing like him, mate.
No, clearly not Liam Neeson, so I wasn't even perplexed by what that was.
Adam wasn't even like, oh fuck, I have to get out and record this phone call now.
I mean, a buddy, Danny. And I wanted to drop you a wee voice note because Jim and I had been chatting about how disappointed we are that Greg's is not bringing the yard-long sausage roll.
Can I just clarify? Danny was disappointed.
I also...
He tried to fat shame me there. He was just like, here, Jim's a big lad. He'll be disappointed about this too. I didn't know about it until he told me.
But surely not a yard long sausage roll. That's too long.
Can it be too long?
To Northern Ireland. I don't think they realise how much they've excluded Northern Ireland by not allowing their stores to stock the yard-long sausage roll. What they've denied the young couples of Northern Ireland who want to recreate the Lady in the...
Danny, they don't have the shelf space for all these yard-long sausage rolls.
They need to open a new store, summer superstore, the Greg's Superstore, just for the yard. They're getting a 6-pack of that.
Can I have a yard-long sausage roll? Yeah, that's 45 quid. The meat economy would go.
Imagine trying to keep it warm. It's like, sorry, that wee one's just at room temperature. Oh, it's all right, that's fine. You get my wheelbarrow here.
The top's warm, but the bottom's cold. I don't have enough thoughts from a yard-long sausage roll.
Have you got a fucking metre-wide pack of sauce for him? Right, okay. He's not finished. The man's on a rant. Good thing it's an election year. On that note, could you imagine him just fucking, if someone came to his door for the election, it's like, have you any topics that are annoying you? Well, actually, what can you do for me and my crusade to get the yard-long fucking supper dog? To get the... What can you do for me to get the yard-long sausage roll onto the shops of Greg?
Excuse me, boy, could you step back? Step back a wee bit more? Step back a wee bit more? Now, imagine that, but sausage roll length.
Here, I know we're talking about Doctor Who, but do you think he would just measure out? Think that's 70. Think he was watching that episode of Doctor Who, going, wee tear going down like Shooty, going, that's 7. Would have been 73 of those wee sausage rolls.
That's what your woman was saying. She was so far away. She was like, Greg's have a new sausage roll, and it's 73 yards.
No, what she's saying is, Greg's have a new sausage roll. You can't get them in Northern Ireland. That's why everyone's running away, like the Prime Minister, going, oh, Jesus. It's okay. He's not finished. He's on a rant here.
With the yard-long sausage roll starting each end and meeting in the middle. All I wanted was Greg's flaky 36-inch long sausage meat.
He's getting a bit sexual there.
He's so breathy.
He's so breathy and it's so sexually orientated around a sausage roll. I don't think I'm going to get Danny back. Sexy legs or not. Keep all that kind of stuff to the Fright Club.
I'm going to get a restraining order, ironically, a yard away.
It's like just one sausage roll. A sausage roll. Okay, let's let him finish up because we'll have to move on. We'll have to talk about Cars too. Adam's busting too.
My mouth. And I'm denying that. So what I reckon is that we should start a petition. So if you head over to petition.org and sign up for get that 36-inch yard-long sausage roll in Danny's mouth, we'll work together to get the yard-long sausage roll into the Northern Ireland Greg's. Also, with the upcoming election, if you vote for me, I'll ensure that Northern Ireland not only gets the yard-long sausage roll, but that it gets the foot-long Subway cookie and all other elongated foods as well. For Ulster says yum for the long food. All right, lads, take it easy. Bye-bye.
I'm just a bit worried that Danny had an erection while he was doing that voice note to me. It took him a wee while to get it, and I think either one of two things: too busy salvating at the mouth, and then after he'd finished salvating at the mouth, he got an erection.
Salvating at the arse.
Because he was very sexual orientated around that foot long sausage roll.
I just want to let him know that the foot-long cookie is available on Subway outlets all across Northern Ireland. So, all right, he's halfway there.
There we go. He's already sorted there. I mean, he's done better than us, and he hasn't even started his petition. We haven't done any of the fucking shit we promised about doing.
Well, you see, I was actually going to bring this up. We have some guests, maybe possibly in the future.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's hard to promote the podcast, being like, sure, give it a listen, because last week's episode we just talked about Kiki Rumbas for half an hour. Yeah. But, you know, they love it.
Yeah, the peeps love it.
They love it.
Our American counterparts are like, holy shit, you guys are right on the money. Why are you guys not on SNL? It's like, because we keep asking, and we keep sending this, and they're like, nah.
You used to hear like modern Jerry Seinfelds, and you're like, not the unfrosted boy.
Yeah, and not the racist, like Kramer.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's Danny with his campaign. More successful than us, Adam. Hasn't even done fuck all other than doing that wee voice note while erect, talking about a big yard sausage roll. Oh, here, I just want it in my mouth. That'd be really tasty. And Greg's gonna have it. I'd love that sausage roll in my mouth, please.
So you're saying if I turn up at the waterfront with an erection, to be like, can you put a movie on for us?
Yeah, they'll be like, here, lads, not a bother. If I go down to Tato with a big erection, going, here, can we get the Tato's fighting? You're like, have you got an erection, mate? Aye. This guy really likes Tato.
Has Stanley sent you?
Yeah, so,
Fuck, imagine a yard-long crisp sandwich.
Oh, mate. No, with butter or without butter?
With butter.
Proper butter?
Yeah.
Yeah, none of that, like, fucking...
Kerrygold.
None of that, or... margarine?
Marge Simpson?
Yeah, none of that Marge Simpson spread all over it.
Oh, that's my Marge impression.
Now, how do you take your... Would it be a Belfast bap, or would it be a big flowery roll? Would you with the one you get and you come out of it and you're like, fuck, my fingers are covered in dust.
Flowery
and you go over to your lovely girlfriend, you've no towel or anything, you go and just walking away, you're like...
Like, I love you, rubber back. Big flowery back. Belfast bap all the way. I just like the bread.
Remember the Chris sandwich shop in Belfast was open for a wee bit?
They were like, we're never going to close.
Yeah.
4 days after opening.
Yeah.
Bye.
You could get soup as well, though. Soup and a Chris sandwich. Heaven, mate.
But surely the price...
Do you know what you really should have had? A Chris sandwich and a pot noodle.
Oh, fuck. Hard to quote The Office. I'm going to go home and have pot noodle and a wank. Danny?
Danny's already halfway there. So, yeah, on that note, I think we are meant to be... We're not political.
No.
And as you've already said, Danny's already halfway there, having really done fuck all, other than send a voice note to us. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. Bloody Brexit. But we're not a politics podcast. I think we'll move on. This podcast on its label is advertised as talking about Cars 2. Mm-hmm. We've talked about Doctor Who. We've talked about big yard-long sausage rolls. I think we'll get back and do what a movie podcast should do. Talk about movies. And before you and I talk about Cars, and ironically enough, you had never seen Cars 2.
Yeah.
Before I asked you to watch it, because Inside Out is out this week. So that's, of course, why we're talking about it. We haven't seen Inside Out 2 yet. We'll talk about it on the Ramble edition, or you'll be talking about it in the TV show.
Yes.
So tune in for that later this week, or probably a lot of shite story related, and about 5 minutes of us talking about Inside Out, going, great mate, cried, wonderful.
My arch was Inside Out.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about Cars 2, weirdest sequel, I think, in Pixar's back catalogue. And I think we'll maybe talk a wee bit about sequels generally with Pixar. But before we get into chatting about that, let's play a clip off the film.
Hey, what you got here that's free? How about that pistachio ice cream?
No, wasabi.
Oh, same old, same old. What's up with you? That looks delicious. A little more, please. It is free, right? Keep it coming. A little more. Come on, let's go. It's free. You're getting there. Scoop, scoop. There you go. Now that's a scoop of ice cream.
Okuyami moshiagemasu.
So that's a clip of Cars 2. Adam, you'd never seen this, so straight away, what's your thoughts? Are you a fan of the Cars franchise? You've seen Cars 1, you've seen Cars 3, now you've completed the set, you've seen Cars 2.
Well, Jim, life's a highway. I could drive it all night long. Cars 1, fine.
It's just Doc Hollywood, but with Pixar.
Yeah, and, you know, it has enough charm in it to kind of drift by. Because it has like that 3-act structure of like hero at the highest point to the lowest point to raise it back up again.
Yeah.
Cars 3 is, you know, like the hero realizing that he's not the hot new shit anymore, and he's training up the new guy or the new girl, sorry, just like he was trained up in the first movie. Cars 2. Why the fuck is this about spies?
I was trying to think about this in terms of sequels. And I know on Friday I was doing the introduction for Texas Chainsaw at the Strand. Anyone listening, if you're at that, thank you for coming down. And I think of tonal changes and plot structure, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. In terms of what we had in the first one to what we had in the second one, I can't think off the top of my head, and I've been thinking about this all day, of another installment of franchise where they've went right, okay, this is what we tried to do with the first one. Fuck it. John Lasseter came in, he was on a plane, he loves his old cars, watch the James Bond movie. Fuck it, let's do this.
It's like watching. Actually, it's like watching Batman and Batman Returns, whereas Batman is about Batman, and then Batman Returns is about every side character under the sun.
True. Yeah, because that is true. Because Lightning McQueen is there, but this is Mater's story.
Lightning McQueen, for the first half an hour, I was like, that's not Owen Wilson. They've got someone that sounds like Owen Wilson until he goes, wow. But I was like, that doesn't. And then
No one can wow like Owen Wilson can.
But it's like,
did you ever see the thing on April Fool's Day here in Belfast? There's always the post someone puts up going April or 1st of April, whatever year it is, 2025 next year. Like, let's all meet outside Belfast City Hall, and everyone, wow, like Owen Wilson. But it's an April Fool's, and no one ever goes apart from me. Stand there in the wind. Wow.
I actually met Owen Wilson at a
No, you didn't.
At a tattoo convention.
No,
I did.
Not the Owen. Is this a Owen Wilson?
No, it's the Owen Wilson. Because he was walking past, and I was actually getting.
Is this a bit?
No, Jim. Go along with me. I was getting a W tattooed on one of my butt cheeks and a W on the other butt cheek, and then I got it done, and Owen Wilson was behind me, and I bent over, and he went, "Wow."
That's the top quality banter. You know, last week we're talking about sexy gremlins. This week we're talking about you bend your hole over to Owen Wilson.
I've no Scylla this week, so I thought I had to give a shake.
We've moved on from that.
She'll be back.
Yeah. Christmas special.
Christmas special.
Halloween special.
Yeah, Cars 2. Like,
so should we divulge a bit of the plot? I guess that's what any movie review show should do.
What plot?
So
I say what plot? It's so heavy. What plot?
So there's loads of, and kind of the Lightning McQueen angle is that there's a World Grand Prix series, but it's just 3 races.
Yeah,
3. Not really the world. 3 races, mate.
And he has a sort of rivalry that he didn't set up with John Turturro, the F1 car.
Who's a dick
for some reason because he's Italian.
Yeah.
Well,
most Italians are.
Well, but the boob.
Scusi.
And then the other plot is that everybody's favorite character from the first one, Mater.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess he must have sold the most toys. Also, like, because we're not American, we don't really get the Larry the Cable Guy aspect.
Can I be honest? See, up until half an hour before this podcast recording, I'll say a couple of days before, I actually thought that Mater was voiced by the guy that does the Ernest movies.
Jim Varney?
Yeah, because it's the same. It's essentially the same kind of voice.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what it was until I was like, Larry the Cable Guy. It's like, oh, that's his name. I call you Larry the Cable Guy.
It's like if there was a Belfast version of Cars, Mater would have been voiced by Mae McFetridge.
Yeah.
You need your headlights clean, love. But the plot with Mater is that he's
mistaken identity. So there's a whole. So this is where it comes to being weird. So the film kind of kicked things off. There's Finn McMissile.
Okay,
that's a name. There's a whole kind of infiltration to. They're trying to figure out. There's this new eco fuel, and the villain's essentially is Eddie Izzard.
Yes,
Eddie Izzard. But this eco fuel also does things to cars. Makes them explode. If there's like infrared or cameras.
If you think about the plot of this for 44 seconds, like why are cars on planes, but the planes are alive?
Yeah.
Also, the boats are alive.
They're inside them. As someone said on the We Need to Kill James Bond, they're inside their guts.
Yeah. How do cars ring phones? Because it's not even a phone that has giant buttons to ring. It has small human buttons. I fucking like. I watched Cars 1 and 2 and probably just like, you know, it went over, not even went over my head. I just kind of like glazed over it. Whereas this, I was like, oh, we're reviewing it for the TV show. I'll pay super attention. And that's maybe the biggest mistake I've made in my life.
Can I say something at this point? So for this pod, I've had to watch Cars 2 3 times because I've kept falling asleep. In that point, I have been tired. So I was away camping and watched it the night after it came. I went to see Bad Boys, Ride or Die.
How was that?
Thought it was fine. Yeah. We'll keep that for the Ramblecast in a couple of weeks. And I came home and was like, I've got to watch Cars 2. I've got to watch Cars 2 and I've got to watch Fire Island for this week's pod. Fire Island, if you've never seen it, great film. We'll talk about it in the Ramblecast. We've reviewed it before in the TV show. It was Hamish Calvert's choice for our Pride Month. And I said, right, I've seen Fire Island before. I can remember it enough. I'll maybe just watch it tomorrow when I'm doing stuff in the background just to refresh my memories. Oh, there's a lot of man flesh in this. And I'll watch Cars 2 because I generally don't remember it that well. And about 20 minutes, half an hour in, I could just feel, you know, when you can feel yourself, your head bobbing. Yeah. And I said to Amber, I said, I'm just going to go to sleep here. And then put it on the next day when I'd come home from work. And it's like I've been up from early o'clock in the morning. It's like, right, okay, there's only, maybe an hour left. 20 minutes in, I dozed off again. I find it a weird film that John Lasseter, Wikipedia, all the stuff that it's not that I don't feel comfortable talking about it. It's just like, I don't think we need to talk about that.
He doesn't deserve the time.
No. Google all the stuff with John Lasseter and you'll find out more. Or there's other more serious pods that will deal with the subject matter more concisely and more appropriately than probably us.
Yeah, not this pod where we talk about our willies and bums.
Yes, not this. And that's not us being just that. That's me feeling very kind of self-conscious right now in that sense, but it's just being honest and saying, look, we're having a bit of crack. It just feels like it's too much of a crowbar to go, now let's talk about John Lasseter and stuff. I'd Google it, research it. There's stuff there. There's problematic in terms of the kind of the Me Too era with John Lasseter. But in terms of this, it's a weird project for him to really spearhead. And this, I sense that he loved this world. So the first Cars, everything is kind of like when you see them driving through the mountains are kind of car-like. Yeah. And the clouds are kind of like cars. Everything's automobile-esque.
Yeah.
And as you kind of say, how does that world function? It would make more sense that it's like, a bit like Toy Story. Like Toy Story, the rules are clear. When we're not around, the toys are real.
Yeah.
But when you and I are about, not just specifically you and I, but humans, they're like, oh fuck. And there he is watching Top Gun again. Why is his trousers coming down? Oh, he's high. But the rule makes sense, and you kind of wonder yourself going, would it have been better had like the cars just talked to each other, but it was in our world?
Yeah.
In the sense, it's like, I think it's like oil. So there's a big thing in this word, Mater, he leaks oil.
Mm-hmm.
So was that piss?
Or shit.
Or blood?
Yeah. I know it's one of those ones where it's
or
like
all of the above.
It's like, it's a kids movie, don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
it's like, but
you want the world to make sense.
Yeah. When they're setting it in our world and using things that we know, and obviously making reference to things we know, like, you know, they talk about like actual cars.
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay, but how does...
Is this a dystopian future? Like Planet of the Apes, where cars have become self-aware, mankind has died, and they've just learned to kind of adapt and carry on existing?
You damn dirty Peugeot.
You dirty Renault, you blew it up. Get your wheels off me, you damned Honda Civic.
It's like the Michelin Man is like the fucking Statue of Liberty at the end.
But it is a weird world. And even Cars, as I say, it's kind of a weird world. In the fact that how does it work? As I can say, like there's sequences where if Lightning McQueen doesn't want to drive from one part to the other, he goes inside somebody.
He gets in his mate's horse.
Yeah. They travel about in the planes. And as someone said, you know, they're traveling about in people's guts.
Yeah.
You're like, that's weird.
Yeah. And then you can't even be like, oh, well, you know, because they work as cars. No, because then they work as humans because they drink and piss and shit. And you're like, what? What's happening? And they also have different, like Cars 2 goes around the world. So it's kind of like they have different cultures.
Yeah, there's a wee Popemobile.
I did enjoy that. I'm not going to lie. They go see sumo wrestling for some reason. It seems like, I don't know, like obviously John Lasseter, a weird guy, but like, do you know the way a lot of...
Clever, I mean, again, research.
Yeah.
But in terms of, it's the kind of idea, I know Cinepunked do... Sorry, it's working, but it was just being really jittery there. I think it's just the computer. There's enough on it. It's an idea that cine punk do really well and more, kind of adult orientated than us. And that's not to say you and I can't be serious. I think there's just a time and a place for that type of thing.
Not when we're talking about Cars
Not
too.
when you're talking about Cars too. And you're kind of like, can you separate art from the artist? And there's a lot of actors, directors, writers, producers where you now have that problematic, like a lot of stuff by the Weinsteins. You go, well, it was a great movie, produced by the Weinsteins though. And you go, other actors, and like there's, I mean, you get the whole complicated issue with people like Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Where you go, he's been cleared. But then you have then other actors calling for him to, like, he has to be uncancelled now. You have to bring him back. And you go, he's an amazing actor. But what I want to put on a screening of a Kevin Spacey movie, probably not.
Probably not Superman Returns.
No, probably not Superman Returns. As much as I love The Usual Suspects, it's like you just go, because you're opening yourself up to that. But come back to my point full circle. John Lasseter, research everything, go and look, and I'll put some show links on and put some stuff up on the show notes to look for people to look. But very clever guy. In terms of, you think of like starting out young Sherlock Holmes, I think was his major breakthrough. The CGI sequence. Then kind of going off with Pixar, Toy Story, and what he built with Pixar. Very talented.
That whole generation of, your Brad Birds, your Pete Doctors.
Yeah.
That, is it A113? Is that what that class was called for Pixar? Just genius guys. And Brad Bird, I know we talk about directors as a whole. I'd love to talk about Brad Bird's career, because that's a fucking career of like...
Iron Giant, isn't it?
Iron Giant, The Incredibles, Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And then he went, I'm going to make Tomorrowland. And everybody went, no, you're not.
I like Tomorrowland.
I like Tomorrowland as well. But yeah, Pixar, like, because people are like, oh, Cars is the downfall. Cars were the Pixar.
It was a commercial success.
Well, this is the thing. And like, there's theme park rides and they sell so much merch.
First, I'm nearly certain on this fact. In the same way that I'm nearly certain about this was the first Pixar sequel beyond Toy Story.
Yeah.
I think this was the first Pixar movie not to get nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah.
When that award was created.
Yeah. And you can understand watching Cars 2 because it's shite. But also, because like whenever you watch the Oscars and it's like, there's 5 animated movies.
Yeah.
They're always like, oh, we're going to have to give it to fucking Kung Fu Panda because that's the only animated movie that's come out this year that's made money. But the fact that they've stopped giving it to Pixar films
automatically,
and the decline in quality. Like I've been doing a lot of catching up on Disney animation stuff recently. I watched Encanto a few weeks ago, and I've been kind of catch up on things. And some of the later Disney Pixar movies, I just can't, like Soul. Like I just have no interest in watching Soul.
I like Soul.
See, it's just there's no, like with Toy Story, you're like toys that talk. Bugs Life, bugs. The talk. Finding Nemo. Guess what?
Fish that talk.
The first
Cars that talk.
Cars that talk. But Cars 2, Cars that are spies. I'm out. Whereas Soul is like, what? Soul that talk. Inside Out.
You haven't seen it at this point.
No. But in the ramble.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
keep it for the ramble.
You know what? It's Soul, amazing.
Soul was a weird one for me because I remember building up for it. Was it around about the time pandemic, and I was heading to the London Film Festival. It was one of the big titles that was screening there, and I was like, right, I know it's. I've got over that fact. I used to be like a bit of an arse. Still am probably an arse to many people. Go, yeah, you're still an arse, Jim. But I used to be like, oh, I can go see this. I can write my review, and it's out maybe 3-4 weeks beforehand, and that gives me 3-4 weeks to bother my arse to kind of get my review written and get it up and done. And now if I go to a festival, I will tend to go see stuff. It's like, right, fuck, that is never going to see the world ever again. It might pick up on a streamer now, but I want to see this weird. There's a film that I remember reviewing last year at the London Film Festival, or talking to the director at the London Film Festival, and it's just disappeared. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it'll ever appear over here. I don't even think it'll appear in a streamer. Right now, apologies, the names went out of my head.
That's how it seemed disappeared from your head.
But I remember chatting to the director and just being like, right, I think you're fascinating. I love what you've kind of done here. Mm-hmm. And I remember Soul was one of the ones playing at London Film Festival, and then everything kind of shut down. and then Soul just kind of went on Disney Plus. That has created a whole heap of aggravation between Disney and Pixar.
Yeah.
Where we've had stuff like Turning Red. We've had, what was the Italian theme one? Luca,
yeah.
Luca, and then I think there's been one since that, there was Lightyear.
Oh, well.
We're not talking about that.
We don't speak about Lightyear.
But there was all those ones that went straight to Lightyear didn't. They started putting stuff straight to the streaming. So families were going to the cinema, it's not cheap. Maybe 40, 50 quid before you even got your snacks, before you even got your KP nuts. You know, a 3-year-old knows a packet of KP nuts. And people are like, oh, we're happy to wait for these to come on Disney Plus. We're not going to come on Disney. We'll just wait for it.
Yeah.
It was no real need. And then they tried it with Lightyear and it flopped.
People said no. That was their fault, though, because they were like, this is the movie that Andy watched when he was fucking thing. You're like, no, it isn't.
No, that's just kind of you trying to do a bit of trying to think you're clever, but not. Inside Out 2, I know it's out this week. Don't know the exact box office figures at this point, but I think it's predicted to do quite well.
Yeah.
After a summer of underwhelming blockbuster numbers, you know, Bad Boys Ride or Die has probably been the biggest success so far. Furiosa's underwhelmed. The Fall Guy, other than Claire McCulloch going to see it repeatedly in the cinema, going, this is great. This is my film of the year.
I like the dog.
That's so cute. It has underperformed. But hopefully, because it's been weird because Disney re-released Turning Red, Luca in the cinema, and I think they did quite well.
Yeah. When I worked in a cinema and Encanto came out, it was one of those ones that kind of, you know, pandemic-y was kind of floating. And then when we finally showed it, it was constantly sold out. Yeah. Because people wanted to see it. And
for all them fuckers saying they weren't talking about Bruno, a lot of fuckers were.
Wouldn't fuck up about it. I kind of wish they'd re-released Inside Out 1 again, because we've talked about it before with Bing Bong and stuff. Yeah. But that is...
I'm still not.
That is one of those cinematic experiences where it kind of was like, oh, fucking Pixar have their fucking gold back again. This is actually really good.
Like, I'm being honest. I haven't seen Inside Out 2 as we record. I'm really nervous about it. In the sense that I was never nervous about Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3. I love those films. But Inside Out was just a film that hit me right at the right time, even though I was in my 30s and I should have been a kid watching it, and the kind of this idea of all the complexities of what's going on in your head. And I just loved, and I still remember Joanna Leach from the Strand Arts Centre a couple of weeks after Inside Out had hit cinemas, sending me a little photo of Bing Bong, going, too soon? Yeah, it's too soon. It's still too soon. And I just thought that film was clever, and, you know, it worked on different levels. But at the same time, I know Neil Sedgwick, formerly of this parish. Neil, if you're listening, you're always welcome to come back in. I know there's a couple of contributors we've reached out to from the older kind of staple of the show. I remember Neil, at the time, his 2 young daughters weren't fussing it. I think it was maybe Despicable Me 2 was out, and they were like, do a minion with a wee fart joke. Kids love that shit.
Yeah.
I love a fart joke.
And it's pretty good.
But it's like younger viewers were like, nah, not interested in it. I think it was Neil. I could be wrong.
It is one of those movies where, like you're saying, like you're in your 30s watching it, but, you know, because it is about a teenager growing up with the mixed emotions, it really appeals to an older crowd.
Yeah.
Whereas Inside Out 2, are they appealing to the same crowd? Because it's like, one of their main characters is anxiety, which, you know, unfortunately and fortunately is a big talking point in people our age, because, you know, we've come through a pandemic and people have realised that anxiety is more of a mental health issue than just be like, I'm a bit nervous. You know, it could be crippling for people. Yeah. And it is good that something like Inside Out is touching upon that, but like you say, being nervous about it.
I haven't seen the film yet, so we don't know. It could be terrible. Yes. I really hope it's not. And this then comes back to, with Cars 2, Inside Out 2, without seeing it, you get a sense of like, there is not a need for a sequel, but you have grounds to do a sequel.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3. Like, I remember probably the comparison we were like when Toy Story 4 came out. It's like, do you need another story? Within that franchise, Disney, you kind of finished it with the cherry on top at the end of 3 and broke our little hearts.
Yeah.
And then 4 came out, and 4 was fine.
4 is just that weird, like...
Spoony guy. Sporky.
Yeah, like Cars 2, where it's like, how does this work? And it's like, Sporky? I don't think, is that his name? Or no, Forky?
Yeah. No, I think it's not Sporky, because he's a spoon and a fork.
Somebody write in.
Yeah.
Where it's like, somebody just makes him and then he comes to life.
Yeah.
And it's like, are children gods? But they don't touch upon that. They're just like, isn't it funny that he falls over? And you know what, Jim? It is.
Because I'm intrigued. We're going to have Toy Story 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think that's not just Disney. They know that's a franchise that makes the money.
Oh, fucking Prince money.
Mickey loves his money. So, yeah, we're going to have another one. I'm surprised. I was looking before we started to record. It's like, have we got a Toy Story, or sorry, have we got a Cars 4 commissioned? I know there's all the various series and stuff on Disney Plus. As we record, Owen Wilson, the last thing I read was Owen Wilson said he'd love to have another Lightning McQueen movie because he loves being in that car.
He loves cocaine.
He loves cocaine, and he loves staring at Wee Adam's arse going, wow.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow! He loves that. And yeah, it's a kind of nice, safe world. But I come back to, I suppose we're talking about Cars 2. It's like you've had Cars, and it's almost in the sense like it made money, and it was all right received. As I said, it's just a rip-off of Doc Hollywood.
Yeah.
That kind of classic kind of 80s, 90s staple movie. And then it's like, well, how can we sex it up?
Yeah.
Let's kind of do a James Bond kind of movie when they have... Oh, it just melts my head even more when I think about it. They had The Incredibles, which, okay, was about superheroes, but the world it existed in was so heavily influenced by the 60s Bond movies. Mm-hmm. It's like, you've got that world that you could play about in that already.
I think it's...
You've got that sandbox. Why fucking chuck all your fucking Matchbox cars into that world and go, yeah, we'll make something stick?
I think we've got there sort of where, you know, because Cars 1... good, Cars 3, good.
No, all right.
It's all right, but like the world of Cars...
Can I just say one thing about Cars 3? The one thing I remember of Cars 3 is just the visual effects are stunning.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember the teaser trailer of like Lightning McQueen crashing?
Yeah.
I think it's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, the worlds like Toy Story, you can imagine where they could go. Any world in actually any Pixar movie. Like a Monsters Inc. Like you could imagine a Monsters Inc. 2, not University, but like an actual sequel where it could go. Whereas this, instead of doing that logical, Lightning McQueen is a racer, where could he go next? It's as if somebody ran into the room and just went, let's do fucking James Bond. And everybody gets spun. Okay.
We can't get Sean Connery, get fucking Michael Caine. He'll do it.
That's it too. If they get Michael Caine, a man who's not known for being a spy, get Dalton.
Well, Alfie.
I know, but get Dalton. Do you know what I mean? Get Dalton. It would have been so much better. The kids aren't going to be like, oh, I can't believe they didn't get Michael Caine.
Do you think maybe they had the choice to maybe got Lazenby? And they were like, nah.
Doesn't matter. Like he turned up at the studio. He's like, I'm ready to be a car. And they went, nah, mate, we're making Bugs Life 2.
I think George Lazenby shadowed round and just came as a car. Because you know the famous story about George Lazenby? He pretty much copied. He went and got the same suits as Sean Connery was getting, got the same haircut, kind of became a semi-clone for him, and then kind of got himself known. So when they were eventually recasting, he was like, hey? You've got me, guys. I'm the milk tray guy.
Oh, fuck, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What's your favourite chocolate in a milk tray?
The wee strawberry one.
I'm a caramel man myself. But the strawberry one is good. The strawberry one in Quality Street, though, not for me.
I do like the caramel log.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You get a good bit of chine out of that.
See, this is why we don't want to talk about Cars.
Yeah. So, come back to the point. Like, it's weird when you think about it. Cars 2 was the first one outside of Toy Story that got a sequel. When you had The Incredibles, that for a long time I was like, you should have done a sequel. Mm-hmm. The sequel to I think we've talked about The Incredibles 2 briefly before. It was what film was like. I really was looking forward to that sequel, and it was like it was just fine.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's like you look back, the first sequence, the best bit about The Incredibles, it's like Up. It's like the opening when you just see that world and you see them being this. Okay, there's a bit where they're superheroes, Mr. Incredible, and then he meets Elastigirl, and then it's the bit in the kind of just before everything all hell breaks loose when it's like, what happens? Superheroes are outlawed or something like that. I can't remember.
Bon voyage.
Yes, and it's him just working in an office.
Yeah,
and that's great. And it's almost like silent cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna get Incredibles 2. I can't remember that much about Incredibles 2, other than there's a bit more with the baby.
Yeah, I think we spoke before about Incredibles 2 that the problem with it is it was a next day sequel.
Yeah,
rather than it should have been a few years more.
Yeah.
Like Dash, Violet, and Jack all should have been like 3 years older.
Yeah.
It would have been way more interesting. Instead, they just went, let's make Elastigirl the hero.
Yeah.
And
she's off working for different companies. And there's a riff of Spider-Man 2, isn't there?
Yeah, it's strange. And the Jack bits are clearly like DVD special features that they just threw in there to sell toys. And it's fucking strange.
It's like in the Ice Age movies, where you've got that weird kind of the wee character that just loves his nuts.
Oh, Scrat?
When Scrat just pops up, and it's like, right, that's a wee short in its own thing, but you've just got it there because you said, pardon me as I burp again, Mr. Professional on this pod, it sells toys.
Yeah, and you know what?
I would say Cars, the Cars franchise, sells toys for Disney.
Fucking millions. Has to. See, like, I'm a big Disney man, but whenever Disney Store was in the town, they constantly had a car section because they knew it fucking sold.
Did you have Lightning McQueen bed sheets? Bed linen?
No, but I had skids in my bed sheets, I'll tell you that, Jim. Well,
were you racing again last night? Were you stop doing them donuts at him in bed? Chocolate donuts, mommy.
Mummy, I was like 25 when Cars came out. Well, shall we talk about sequels? Pixar sequels?
I just get a sense, Adam, we're an hour in. We've talked half an hour on this about Doctor Who, and I just get a sense that you just don't want to talk about Cars 2.
The problem with it is there just is nothing to talk about. There's no like.
Do you not like we've kind of Mater is comic relief, and I guess that's kind of the flaw when you make a character that's comic relief central, not just central to the narrative, but the central character per se. And at the same time, you've Lightning McQueen going, "You're my best mate. I'm my best mate in the world, Mater, but you're constantly fucking embarrassing me, and I don't want to be seen with you, and just go and stand over there."
Yeah, literally. And it's just Mater's just a fucking pain in the hole.
Do you know what I laughed though when we were watching Cars 2? I was watching it with my lovely wife, and there's the sequence in the film where it's the first time Mater encounters the villains. And they're trying to take down Bruce Campbell. There's a great cast and a vocal talent.
Yeah.
And Eddie Izzard, Bruce Campbell, as we mentioned, Larry the Cable Guy, not Steve McQueen. Paul Newman was in the first one, and they retired his role because he'd passed away. Great cast. Her one comment, she sat through Cars 2 before I fell asleep. I think she watched it to the end. And
3 times.
Yeah. And we were talking about it. And there's the sequence when Mater first is the henchman for the villain, and they're taking on Bruce Campbell, or they're challenging Bruce Campbell. My lovely wife was like, "Do you think the people who made the Mission Impossible franchise were influenced by that toilet sequence when they did Fallout?" I quickly said to her, "No." I said to her, "No." Well, I actually said, maybe. I think no.
But then your wife always says that when there's a scene in the toilet.
Yeah.
She watches White Chicks and she's doing diarrhea. She's like, is this from Mission Impossible?
Is this maybe influence? Do you know, my lovely wife, the only sequence in Fallout she'll remember in movies, and the only thing she remembers from that scene, when Henry Cavill flexes his muscles or does the muscle thing.
He does the reload.
Yeah. And I think I remember reading somewhere that Henry Cavill was like, "Is this too cheesy? Should I keep this in?" And they were like, "Keep it in, Henry."
It is good, though.
It is good. And so there you go. That's fact, bona fide fact from Banditflix. You heard it here first. That sequence in Cars 2 where Mater's getting his arse cleaned by a Japanese toilet influenced Mission Impossible. Henry Cavill watched it and went, "I can do better.
I can get my arse cleaned."
As a clean out Tom Cruise.
Before we move on to Pixar sequels,
yeah,
can I get a quick Michael Caine impression from you? Can you do the dialogue? Do the fucking tangerine scene from The Dark Knight? Can you give me a quick Michael Caine?
Tangerine scene?
So he's like,
oh yeah, sorry.
The ruby the size of a tangerine.
Yeah, you see, I have to, with Michael Caine, if you're doing a Michael Caine impression, I have to get some script up. What I have to do is I need to get you only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Yeah.
And then followed by, never. When I think of Michael Caine, the only thing that, if you want a quick Michael Caine impression, do you want a quick Michael Caine impression?
Yeah.
Never. That's it. What's the point in doing all those benches as they've lost it? What's the point in doing all those benches if you can't lift a bloody tree?
That's one of my favorite. It's what's the point of doing all those bloody push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?
Yeah. I'm not good. I'm like, see, because if I start thinking about the voice, I can do the voice.
My name is Michael Caine.
Hello, my name is Michael Caine, and I'm a very nosy neighbour. There's a reference for the kids.
Listeners, if you all want to send in your Michael Caine impression, we'll play them. We'll play them all at the end of the year in succession.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Yeah, you were only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Never. That's it. That's any time. My friend Brian, who I went camping and who got me into that podcast, you need to kill James Bond or kill James Bond. Every so often, we'll just be talking, and I'll just be from out of nowhere. Never, never. Yeah. What's the other one? The things I did to protect you, Mr. Wayne.
Oh yeah. When he cried at the grave.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wayne.
I'm so sorry. I've got to go on holiday now, and I'm gonna tip my little cup to you because you might be alive, you might be dead.
What's Swedish for apply your own bloody suntan?
Yes. So, Michael Caine. I think we should do the rest of this podcast as Michael Caine.
People just turn off.
Yeah. Fuck, people have turned off long ago. So, yeah, Pixar sequels. You clearly don't want to talk about Cars 2.
I'm over it.
You're over it. You want to get straight into Cars 3. So...
No!
Never! So, I know there's other Pixar movies that are in trilogies now, but specifically, and we can't add in Inside Out 2 at this point. We'll keep that for the ramble, because we haven't seen it yet.
Can I make a quick point? Just, I know you didn't say the word, but the way Toy Story 4 is 4 films.
Yeah.
And the way, like, the word quadrilogy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, quadrilogy isn't a word. Like, that's not the, like, quad is not, because the Alien DVD box set, that's where that word came from. It was never before or after that.
There you go. You've got the Xenomorphs and David to thank for that. And technically, it's not even a quadrilogy anymore, because technically you've had the Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and you're going to have Romulus.
Do you see the TV show has a subtitle?
Yeah.
Neverland?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah, Michael Jackson's going to pop up. I don't know where we go from that. Oh, no, you don't like the alien. That's ignorant. The face hugger, that's ignorant. That's ignorant. No. I want to play.
Sorry, listeners, we're just coming up with characters for the Christmas special.
South Park references, and there's a thing. That's ignorant.
We'll be talking about South Park in a few weeks.
Yeah, we will. So, sequels specifically. So we've touched on Incredibles 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've kind of made your thoughts on that. I think it's just fine. Toy Story 2, probably one of the best sequels
100%
of all time in terms of taking the idea, building on it, expanding upon it. You just see it's weird even when you go from 2 to 3, like I mentioned with the Cars movies, the improvements in the CGI and the artwork, even between Toy Story and Toy Story 2. But then once you get into Toy Story 3, and even with more recently with Toy Story 4, just stunning.
Yeah. Some of the best bits in Toy Story 2. I can't believe I had to drive all the way to work on a Saturday.
Just anything with Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, well, yeah. When Buzz is
Stinky Pete, isn't that his name?
Stinky Pete.
Yeah.
When Buzz meets Serg, his father, and then they're like playing ball, and like the weird, because like the normal Buzz is like, "Are you coming along?" And he's like, "I want to play ball with my dad." See if you look at like normal Buzz's face, he's like, "What the fuck?" Great stuff.
Also, did your heart not break with the Sarah McLachlan song?
Oh, man, I couldn't watch it as a kid. It was too much. It was so sad. And then with Toy Story 3, they do that same fucking beat again, but with Lotso. And you're like, I don't give a fuck about Lotso.
Fuck you, Lotso.
Fuck you. I'm going to save you all.
Fuck off.
Only joking. Fuck off, Lotso.
Fuck off, you smelly bastard.
Lotso sells a lot of merch in the Disney store as well, and I do not know why.
Is that because you fucking buy it? You're like in between one hand coming in with all your Joker DVDs. You know, trust me, just to fucking stick to a joke to the end. To the end of time, the very last episode of this podcast, the very last joke will be, but you're going to go out now and buy another Joker DVD. So in one hand, you're coming in, all the fucking Joker DVDs. You go, here's fucking more Lotso pajamas. I'll be getting that.
I want to smell like a big strawberry.
Oh, was that what it was? It's a strawberry smell, was that it? Yeah.
Maybe that's why. People just like smelling things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Scratch and sniff. Wow.
Speaking of kids.
Yeah, that's the mistake he made at that tattoo convention.
Stinky Pete.
Wow.
His nostrils were singed. Wow.
And that's why he has to do all those sophology ads. Because after smelling your hole, he had to rebuild his nose. And only the sophology ads. But I see now Helena Bonham Carter has moved in that territory.
Here, I'll cut a story about Helena Bonham Carter seeing my arsehole. And the set of Sweetie Todd. I want to bake a pie. I was like, look at this pie, love. Smell it.
No wonder why I was uncomfortable talking about the John Lasseter stuff. So, yeah. Toy Story 2. Also the greatest creation Pixar have ever done, which I'm surprised I haven't done more with. Just the little aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Just what like now I think if they were making that now first time round now, I would be like they'd have their own series.
Oh, 100%.
I think they have shorts, I think, with them, don't they?
Disney Plus sort of.
Yeah.
Like fucking there's loads of like Disney shorts on Disney Plus that they clearly couldn't get Tim Allen or fucking what do you call him? Tom Hanks. Or Tom Hanks' brother.
Definitely Tom Hanks. Definitely.
They couldn't get them, so they'll just have like Buzz and Woody not saying anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, why?
Just in the background.
Yeah, weird. But
it's like in some of the outtakes. Is it A Bug's Life? And they're making it, and it just kind of cuts in the outtakes, and then it's like the screen falls down. Is it Buzz and Woody, or maybe they're by accident, or directing it, or something like that?
Yeah.
It's some weird message in.
They've a funny blooper in the Toy Story 2 movie where you think it's A Bug's Life. They're like, oh, we're on an adventure, and then it just shows you the characters of Toy Story chopping down trees.
I also love my favorite outtake that never made the movie is when my favorite outtake is when Woody just turns to Buzz and says, "Will you just fuck up, mate?" Just fuck up. You're fucking doing my fucking loafing. See to infinity. Get to it, mate. Dim my fucking nose in. Just weigh and let fucking Andy's mum play with it.
To infinity and up my hole.
I'm just trying to get my hole with Bo Peep.
Fucking right. Toy Story 3.
Well, no, I think we'll keep that for threes because not many have done. I think we'll just specifically, because we're talking about Cars 2, we'll talk about sequels. So you got Finding Dory.
We're just in twos.
Yeah, number twos.
Never seen Finding Dory.
Have you not?
No, Dory annoying to me. So I was like, no, it's a whole film about that.
You don't like Dory?
No, it's the same with like
Talk Whale.
I can't stand it. It's the same with Toy Story 2. It's like, why would I want to watch a sequel with the side character? Or not Toy Story 2, sorry, Cars 2, talking shit. Why would I want to watch a sequel with the side character?
Would you not want more character? Would you not want an episode, a movie of Toy Story focused on John Cusack?
No. Fucking her just going, yeah, the whole time. Fuck me. Although, if we're talking side characters, give me Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head going on a honeymoon.
Yeah.
That would have been fantastic.
Or the Barbie.
Oh, Barbie and Ken spin-off. Yeah. They should cast Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling as like human versions of them.
Yeah.
That'd be really good.
That'd be really good. See if we can get some Netflix money to get that idea. See if Netflix haven't heard about that. We've got this idea, right? We're going to do Toy Story. We're going to do a spin-off live action, but it's just focusing on Ken and Barbie.
Oh.
Netflix, like, you've done it again, guys.
What kind
After the Christmas special, you delivered us with Martin Scorsese, Margot Robbie. No, not Margot, Greta Gerwig, everything. You brought back Jerry Stiller from the dead, guys. You know, here's more money.
You've nailed it.
Yeah, you've done it again, guys.
Finding Dory, tell me, is it any good?
I thought it was fine. Again, because I love the first one. I love Finding Nemo. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I just love the story. But also we have William Dafoe.
In the first one?
In the first one, just popping up, and then it's like, just calls him Sharkbait. Sharkbait. Yeah. Hoo-ha!
I also love, I'm a big Albert Brooks man.
Yeah.
So Albert Brooks as Merlin. Fantastic.
Yeah. And the seagull.
Yeah.
The seagull. No, not the seagull. Sorry. The seagulls are in it.
Mine.
But the turtle.
Oh,
and it makes me want to go to, is it Disney World? Because you know you're going to Disney World. Mm-hmm. Where they have the interactive experience where it's the turtles.
Yeah, it's like the turtles, and it's just a guy being like, "Hey, what's up, buddies?"
Yeah.
Sounds great.
What's your name? Adam. Whoa.
I'm gonna send you a video when I go.
Please.
Be like, my mate Jim loves you.
Whoa. Because part of me wants to believe that it's a guy behind the screen somewhere.
It is.
Or I just want it to be an automated AI, and sometimes it's going to go self-aware and sentient and kill us all.
It'd be like
It's going to be like Stephen King will just be sitting there one day going, "Told yous."
Can you say hello?
James Cameron just like, "Fucking told yous, guys."
Can you say hello to my friend Jim? The universe isn't ever expanding. No crush. Just start off the screen. I also like that Bruce is played by Barry Humphries.
Yeah.
They're like, we need an Australia. Who's Australia's greatest actor? Humphries.
But it's genius bit of casting.
100%.
Sharks or fish or food? Or fish or friends?
Fish or friends.
Fish or friends.
Which I always get it mixed up with Lord of the Rings. I can't remember. Is Fish is back on the menu, boys? Is that in...
I don't think fish. I think meat is back on the menu, boys.
Is that Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Is it in Finding Nemo?
I don't think it's in Finding Nemo.
Should have been. Lord of the Rings, but starring the cast of Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
So, looking here, beyond kind of, like, there's not that many sequels. So when you think of Monsters, Inc. is a prequel...
Yeah, and
it suffers the problem all prequels have. It's like, oh, we're going to have this whole plot device where Mike and Scully will not be friends. They'll fall out. And you're like, well, fuck. We know, we've seen Monsters, Inc.
And
we know they become best mates, so why?
Also, they do that thing at the end where they're like, how will we tie it into the first movie? And then just over the credits, it shows you them working their way up from the mailroom. And you're like, come on, lads. Fuck off. Because Mike and Sully are the best of the best in the first movie.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of like, well, they failed university, so, they kind of just stayed there long enough to become the best. You're like, right, that's what I don't really want from my heroes.
Yeah, it seemed like a weird, because Monsters, Inc. is another one of those near-perfect Pixar movies. Back when it was like, Pixar was just like, anything they put out was just magic.
Yeah.
And then you get, like, you kind of get the prequel. And it seemed at that time it was like, because I'm just looking at here, I've got a list up of kind of the sequels. So you've kind of, what a run. So you have Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles. Then you get Cars, 2006, Ratatouille, which I've never seen, but I know people absolutely love.
It's never done it for me, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
I'll say, like, you're not going to be like, this is fucking shit.
And then you kind of get into, well, up until the food movie we just mentioned, you get Wall-E, love.
Great.
Just Pixar, just working at it, I think, a different level. You can start to see the development of that team and confidence as a studio, talking about being able to have confidence to do largely silent movies.
Yeah.
You come back to you having The Incredibles, that big sequence, which is kind of largely silent, and that's expanded much, much more. I kind of think once they get into space in Wall-E, it kind of loses a little bit, but I still love it.
Yeah, it's like the conspiracy of the ship not wanting to bring the humans back to Earth. I'm kind of like, okay.
So then you get Wall-E, then you get Up, and you didn't need to put the first 5 minutes of Up on Have a Wee Cry.
Up's a movie I don't like.
Do you not like Up?
No. The first 5 minutes, I guess it's short, fantastic, but then just the whole, like, the annoying dogs talking and...
Fuck off, mate.
Kevin the bird.
Fuck. See, you're going to Squirrel!
That's not for me.
Love the dogs, mate.
I
love, is it Doug Days?
Doug Days. Oh, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The wee short.
You are my friend. I am your friend, human.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's just the whole... I think Up turning into like an adventure movie by the end. I'm
a wilderness explorer.
That wasn't for me.
All right, fuck you. Then you kind of get Toy Story 3, brilliant, perfect trilogy.
I hate Toy Story 3.
Do you?
I think the whole...
Is it just because you don't like...
Well...
This the bear?
I love Lotso. Look at my Lotso t-shirt and jumper. It was too close to the plot of Toy Story 2 for me. Where it's like...
Apart from the bit when it's like, here, they're going to Auschwitz.
Yeah, like, it's... They were like...
All the toys held hands.
we're gonna do The Great Escape, and then at the end, it's like the whole like
All the toys accepted their fate, man, and they were saved.
I don't give a fuck about toys.
Really? And like even at the end, when the toys are like, it's Andy giving his toys over to someone else.
Didn't care.
You're a fucking heartless bastard.
I just wanted to see more of Wheezy. Why wasn't Wheezy in it?
That's true. Or the creepy doll thing.
Yeah. Where's like all of my fun? Where's my fun friends from the second one? Not there, Jim. And the dog's really fat and wheezy, like fucking he can hardly breathe.
I don't know why you don't like dogs, mate. So then you get Cars 2.
Check.
The previous half hour of pod. Then you get Brave, which I love.
Brave's good.
Brave's good. Monster University we've touched on. Inside Out I've already mentioned. I just think it's a stupendous film. Then I think it's just you kind of start to see it going down a bit. Good Dinosaur.
Never seen
fine. It's fine. It's a very Disney Pixar movie. And it's like cute dinosaurs. And there's a couple of messages at near the end, but it's fine.
I had seen Disney's Dinosaur from '99, and I was like, I'll not be fooled again.
I had my heart broke with what was that one? What was the one to do? And it's like the Land Before Time.
Uh-huh.
Oh mate, tears.
That and All Dogs Go to Heaven should have been shown to kids.
Don't. That's a tough. We should do that. I think we have done previous pods about that, about kind of childhood trauma. Then you get Good Dinosaur. Then you get Finding Dory. We've mentioned. You haven't seen. I have. I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like the Dory character, and yeah, it's got its moments. Cars 3, we've kind of briefly touched on. It's fine. Better than Cars 2.
Yeah.
Visually stunning. Then you kind of get into like Coco. Love.
Good shit.
Although I do prefer The Book of Life.
Yes.
Which was out. I forget what studio it was by. Went to a movie house preview. Didn't know anything about it. I actually remember at the time coming up a U certificate and kind of going, oh, for fuck's sake, and loved it.
Yeah.
My lovely wife and I would watch it on a pretty much annual basis, and the soundtrack's often on in the car. Incredibles 2, fine. Toy Story 4, we've already talked about it. Then you get into kind of the more recent stuff. Onward.
Never seen it.
Onward, where you have Peter Parker and Star-Lord teaming up. It's got some nice messages, and all I'll say from me, from a personal point of view, I'm glad I watched it when it did. I think it would hit differently now after my father passed, and I haven't rewatched it. I haven't had the inkling to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
Not to say I hated it, I just thought it was just standard. It's like those kind of Sony animated movies, like The Croods. It's like, I've seen it once. If it's on Christmas and I'm full of Quality Street, can't find the controller, and there's a mince pie resting in my tummy and I don't want to move it, I'll probably watch it.
It's one of those ones where Pixar kind of has, you know, they have specific like character designs, but they take ordinary objects and pixify them into something that is aesthetically pleasing to look at. When you have stuff like Onward, you're like, what the fuck are these two things?
Yeah, it's weird. It's a wee bit like Cars. It's like the world. The world works better than it does in Cars.
Yeah.
It works better. Then you get Soul, which I like. Soul was kind of like, the flaw in it is the sense that it's trying to do something like Inside Out. But I think, having not watched, I think we should discuss it in a future pod, where I watched it at home and thought it was fine. Had a little blob on it. I think it's Jamie Foxx is in there. There's really powerful messages in there. It's just been a while, so I don't want to be piffy about it, or I don't want to be glorious about it and, you know, wax lyrical. I want to rewatch it. Then you get stuff more recently. Luca, fine. And those people that really love Luca, I love the visuals of it and the visual style. Turning Red, I know a lot of people love, and the kind of the subtext for that film, I think it kind of loses itself a little bit. Have you seen Turning Red?
I have, and I kind of feel like my girlfriend loves it. I think as two men, it maybe doesn't hit as much for us.
Yeah, I just think I don't mind the whole kind of metaphor for what it's kind of talking about. Girls having periods, guys. It's like every so often, it's like even now as a 40-year-old, I'll say to my lovely wife, "Are you having your period? Is your Aunt Flo visiting?" And she's like, "Yes, Jim, I'm on my period. Your breathing annoys me. Don't come near me." You're like, "All right, sorry, I'll just stay next door for the next week." But I think I had no bother with that. Not that it happens, like, oh God, a film about periods. Like, oh my God, how woke. Not like that. I wasn't like that. I just was like, it's fine. And then there's the whole big finale. It like kind of she turns into a big kind of like Godzilla-like monster.
Yeah,
and it's her mum and her has to kind of reconnect. I just think that's the bit where it's like, you've lost me there. The whole stuff at the start where it's like, for a couple of days, once a month, she turns into a red bear.
Yeah, red panda.
Red panda. It's like, yeah, that's quite clever. But I just think I lose it. And then you get Lightyear, we've discussed, which is just forgettable.
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, I saw it in cinema, went to the Odeon, had a snooze. I went in, watched it, and I missed a good first 20 minutes. I watched, feeling myself nodding, had a kip, came out, and it was like still stuff was blasting off. The only bit in Lightyear I remember that was in any way moving, or not moving, but anyway, in any way I thought a bit in Lightyear was anyway effective, is you see the time passing when he's trying to do the journey.
Yeah, it's like a child version of Interstellar.
Yes,
yeah.
That kind of thing. I thought that was quite well, but that could have been a short.
Yeah.
As you say. And then more recently we had Elemental, which I, unsurprisingly, anyone knows me, had a blub through. Not through, but I found, and it's not to say that I was primed by Mark Kermode or Simon Mayo, but when I heard them discussing the film, they had the director on, he was talking about his relationship with his parents, and that's the bit in Elemental I find really moving. The Romeo and Juliet story of fire and water. It's a bit like what we talked about with Cars. Does that world exist? That element world? Like, how would it really exist in practicality? Because that's, what you and I are all about. The practical realities of these worlds.
I think that, well, with Elemental, it's like, that's what the whole premise is. And it's like, well, this has never been explored until now.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't really work.
Yeah. I just thought it was fine. But there's a relationship between the daughter and her father. And, I know we talked about, and I know Dr. Juliana Monteverde was on the TV show and we talked about it, and I really thought she was going to be like, right, you and I, we very rarely disagree. We very rarely agree in movies. This is going to be the one. And she's like, Jim, I hated it. And you're like, well, I cried. Have you seen Elemental?
Oh, yeah.
The bit at the end, without a spoiler, where she's bowing to her dad and then he bows to her. I remember in the cinema just going, and then I was rewatching it at home, and the same thing happened to me again. And it just, I guess it's just kind of where I am, after my dad's passing. Just those kind of things hit different now. And I know as we record, we're just gonna have just had Father's Day. That's gonna be day. I'm just gonna hide from social media for a day.
I cried the other day at an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's okay. What episode was it?
The one where Charlie has to drag his father up the mountain in Ireland. Yeah. And like his breakdown. Great shit.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And then
like, hang on, Always Sunny, are you gonna get serious now? Because talking about, I have cried at an episode of Always Sunny.
Is it the dance?
The dance one?
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing, and it's just Danny DeVito's reaction.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'll talk about it more in the ramble at the end of the month, but I finally I'm going through all of Linklater's movies because I watched The Hitman, or Hitman. Good shit.
Yeah.
But watched Before Sunset. Watched it about 12 hours before I had to go to a funeral at the weekend. It's the first time I'd ever seen it.
Yeah.
Mate, I was dehydrated from the amount of crying I was doing. Fuck me, what a film.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to watch the next two.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about them.
Because the beauty of it is, there's a lot of people out there on the internet that are annoyed by people like you. Because you can just watch it in the space of a couple of days. Other people had to wait years for that. And I think, from memory, I don't think it's 100% concluded from the last movie. I think there might be another one.
Oh no, don't tell me that.
I might be wrong. I'll re-watch it, and this might not make the cut.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he's kind of teased possibly, but no.
Those two, is it Julia?
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke and Julie.
Ethan Hawke and Julie.
Dempsey? Dempsey?
Sarah Dempsey.
You would be like, oh, they clearly got married after this movie because they are in love. And then you're like, oh no, he married Uma Thurman. You're like, right, okay.
Fair play.
If I was Uma Thurman watching Before Sunset, I'd be like,
here, what's happening?
Do you want to tell me something here?
Yeah, so that's us up to date. I mean, we can't talk about Inside Out 2 because we haven't seen it. So I think we can agree Toy Story 2, probably the best of the Pixar sequels.
100%.
Cars 2 isn't quite there.
Probably the worst.
Is it? Well, I suppose, yeah, it's better than Incredibles 2.
I haven't seen...
No, sorry. Incredibles 2. So, yeah, sorry, we'll say that again. So I think we can agree after listening to this rambly kind of chat, Toy Story 2, best Pixar sequel?
With Cars 2 being the worst.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Finding Dory, but I can imagine there's no way it could be worse than Cars 2.
Hold my beer. We'll have to wait for a future episode. So, yeah, I think that pretty much brings this to a close. I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff we could go off and do our usual rambly chat, but we're not. We're going to keep that for the Rambling Custard edition.
Keep it for the end of the month, boys.
Keep it for the end of the month. And I know next week we're going to have a crime scene to screen. So Joe and Trez will be back. You've that to look forward to. And then a couple of weeks you'll have Adam and I rambling back with our usual set of nonsense. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this pod, leave us a nice review wherever you get your podcast and fix. Maybe subscribe to make sure you never miss out on an episode. Go back to the website or YouTube channel or all the various podcast platforms where you can find our back catalogue and give it a listen, and we'll be back in a future episode. But for now, until then, goodbye.
Bye-bye.